name is Alexis Kandra. I'm an artist, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a Boffer shield just like this one. This shield is designed to be a shoulder shield that fits on your upper arm. It looks like this when I'm wearing it. So the first step is to cut your core to be the right size. When you have your final shield, you want about 2 inches of foam to be all around the outside edge of just only foam. So if I want my final shield to be 24 inches across, I'm going to cut my core so that it's only 20 inches across. So my core is cut. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some slits into the core. These slits are where my straps are going to come through. I'm going to DAP them on the other side of the core. If you are making a punch shield or a regular strap shield, then you would place your straps or grip in a different location. I'm making the straps on my shield adjustable with velcro, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Now I have my slits cut for the straps to go through, and I'm going to show you how the straps are set up. So on the left side here, there's a loop made out of the straps, and this metal chain link piece of hardware that I got from Home Depot goes through that loop, and this piece of fabric is able to slide through. That's what's going to make these straps be adjustable. On the outside of the shield, these straps are going to be DAPed down, and I marked off where am I going to DAP them. So now I've made some marks on these straps to show me where I want to sew the velcro on. When you're deciding where you want to put the velcro, it helps if you measure around your arm so you know how much space you need. Keep in mind that we're going to put a piece of foam on the surface of the core underneath your arm so that it's more comfortable when you're wearing it. So you want to give yourself a little bit of extra room for this foam. Now it's time to start dapping the pieces together. When you're using the DAP, make sure you've read all the instructions on the can and you know the right conditions to use it in. It does produce a lot of fumes, so I like to use a mask. When you're applying the DAP, I like to use a piece of scrap foam as like a brush, because the DAP will basically ruin anything that you put it on if you're using like a nice brush. And now I've cut this thin ring of blue foam to put flush up against the shield core. And then we're going to put one more layer of blue foam about 4 or 5 inches wide, just all along the interior edge of the shield. So in total, the depth of the shield, how thick it is going to be 5 layers of foam thick. 3 on the outside, this interior layer flush with the core, and then 1 layer along the edge on the inside. This kind of sandwiches all the foam and the core together. So we're going to DAP EVA foam on the shield. This is what we're going to carve into to make the textures on our shield. It's also what we're going to layer to create the effect of metal or these little rivets having another layer on top. So what I'm doing here with this foam that goes around the edge of my shield is I'm cutting some little triangle shaped slits out so that when the EVA foam bends over, it doesn't have this excess that kind of buckles up and wrinkles. I did take an X-Acto knife to touch up this edge and make it be a nice round smooth oval. On the back I beveled this blue foam here just so it's a little bit more of a smooth transition, and I also cut this EVA foam on the back to make it a round oval shape. I used my X-Acto knife to cut some deeper grooves where I want it to be as if two planks of wood are meeting. And then for the wood grain, I used a sharp pencil to kind of etch the lines of the wood grain into the foam. And then I'm going to use the soldering iron to further etch those lines into the EVA foam. If you are looking for good references for what wood grain pattern looks like, you can find images of pine wood grain online. Now it's time to Plasti Dip the shield. So I'm outside where I've got good ventilation. I'm going to Plasti Dip on all sides of the shield, including the back. I taped off the parts of the back that I don't want to Plasti Dip on, so that's all the straps and everything on this center core. All the rest of the foam I'm going to Plasti Dip. I've found that you can basically just use 2 of these cans of Plasti Dip on the shield, just unload them on the shield, and that should be about the right amount of Plasti Dip. On this outside edge, I'm going to put silver paint with acrylic. On this inside core area, I'm going to paint it black, and I'm going to cover it with a clear top coat to protect it. Now I've taped off this inner core surface. I've painted it black, and I'm ready to coat it with this acrylic clear top coat. This will help keep this black paint from chipping off of the plastic surface. I remembered real fast before I transfer my design with the projector onto the shield that when you Plasti Dip, sometimes some of the texture can become kind of hard and spiky with the Plasti Dip, and some weapons checkers might not pass it. So you can take some sandpaper and just sand off the really hard spiky bits. I'm going to put this satin varnish, it's for acrylics. I'm going to put it over the wood painted area. Around the edge that looks like metal, I put a gloss acrylic varnish so that it would be more shiny. I did end up having to do a little bit of sanding after I had put the satin varnish on the shield, just because I wanted it to have a smooth enough texture for the game that we play, and so it'll pass weapons check. The varnish, when you're putting on any kind of like final layer, one key thing to keep in mind is you want it to be flexible. So I had like a flexible acrylic varnish. You want it to have give in it and be flexible and move around so that when you're fighting, it will have those qualities. So I just wanted to give a few tips on painting. Your wood grain will look more interesting and more like real wood grain if you have some variation, both in how thick some of the lines are. Some of them are thick, some of them are thin. Also, how close together the lines are. Real wood grain has some parts that the lines are very close together, other parts where they're more spread out. So if you incorporate those details in your design and you're drawing out of the wood grain, it'll help you out in the end. It's easiest to start with the darkest colors and then build your way up to the lighter colors. So everywhere where you etched lines, those places will be darker. Places where you have a carved line as if two pieces of wood are meeting, that's going to be darker. Also, if you have like fake knots in your wood, knots are going to be areas that are darker. So I painted all those areas first with a darker color and then painted a lighter blue in between those areas. And then the last thing that I painted was the white design. When you're painting a white design like this on top of your etched wood grain lines, I find that it looks cool to leave those lines showing through. This next point is specific to this kind of design of shield that fits on your upper arm only, and you're not holding it in your hand. When you're moving around and fighting, they have a tendency to slide down your arm. So to prevent that, what I do is I just wrapped a leather belt around this top strap, and when I'm wearing this shield, I just loop this over my head. If your shield is going to have a heavier core, or you might find this uncomfortable, when you're designing your shield, you may want to have a different kind of strap to hold the shield, maybe something that would go over your shoulder more or underneath your arm on the other side. You could design your shield to have additional loops or other places where you could attach a strap to keep it from sliding down. And that was my whole process for making this Plasti Dip Boffer shield. Hopefully this video will be helpful for you as you're making your own Plasti Dip shields or weapons.